Okay, so I got this comment this morning and I did some digging. This story has made it to a few different places on Reddit, Shit Mom Groups Say, and Insane Parents, as well as some free birthing discussion groups on Facebook. So my initial gut reaction to this message, and it's I'm not mad at this person or anything, but my initial gut reaction is this lady is probably a liar. The mom, not the commenter. Because, and before I started doing this account, which is almost 2 years old now, I probably would have met her with some benefit of the doubt. However, after 2 years of covering these stories, I have realized that oftentimes free birthers are liars, or at least have a strange idea of what the truth is. So I was actually going to look into it myself, but then Reddit, the story made it there, like I said, so I didn't really have to. So let's look at the mom's posts. And mind you, okay. Now we have this hippy-dippy bullshit way of talking again. I'm going to put myself up here, which is very irritating to me, but here we go. On the Aquarius new moon, I birthed our twin sons. Dusty came roaring and screaming into this world, filled with life, birthed, and I held him, cradled him against my chest, not quite believing I had done it. I had birthed our boy in my full sovereignty. This means, if you're not familiar with this type of language, no medical oversight. Me. The most incredible experience of my life so far. This moment holds me together. The moment is my light in the darkness. Melvin was born shortly after, but had decided to leave this world possibly earlier in the day. I think I knew the moment when he passed. I looked up at the blue sky and felt a sense of peace, stars in my eyes, and thought my labor would be that night. Okay. Melvin's sole purpose was to keep his brother alive. Weird thing to say. They were both completely and utterly reliant on one another to live. They shared the same placenta. They shared the same blood vessels. They chose to come in together and leave together. Melvin gave his life force so that Dusty could spend those moments in my arms. But when I birthed Melvin, Dusty had decided he didn't want to live without his brother, physiologically or spiritually. Spiritually, they needed to be together, and so they are. This is an absolutely bonkers way of looking at something. I'm absolutely sorry. I don't care if that sounds insensitive. I watched the final moments my Dusty boy had on Earth. I was in limbo, a portal of life and death. Okay, I have something to say, but I'm going to say it at the end. You can read the rest of this. I really don't. Never did I think this would be my story. Of course you didn't. To not have them with me is a deep grief like no other. I'm sure it is. I'm grateful I got to grow them with love and freedom and happiness. Me. That I got to birth them in sovereignty. Me. That I got to spend an hour with my son. Probably if you had gone to the hospital, he would have lived. How about that? You could have spent more than an hour with one or even both of them. That all they knew was love, pure love from conception to the other side. And then you can keep reading. I want to share this in the hope that my story will help ease pain. My story will help me heal. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts on that. We believe our twins had TTS. That's twin transfusion syndrome. It's the only answer we have so far as to why they went the way they did and why they grew the way they did. Here's the thing. If you had had medical oversight for this pregnancy, which again, this is Australia, so you wouldn't have had to pay a red cent for it, you would have known what was going on with your twins, and they could still be alive. This means that they shared the same life force. They were connected with the same vessels on the placenta. If I had had a scan of my choices, would have been either to terminate or potentially birth them in the hospital knowing they were not alive, or undergo intensive ongoing laser surgery to try to separate them and keep them growing at the same pace. Even with treatment, the chance of one surviving is very low. It is 80%. That's not very low. It's not 100%, but it's better than 0%. And the risk of them not being healthy once birthed is very high. By the way, from what I've understood of this, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the percentage of the chance of both of them surviving is 65%, which is still, again, better than 0. That's just math. So this is just not true. I birthed them at 36 weeks. Did you? I'm wondering, because I'm wondering where the 23-week thing came from. And I'm not saying the Daily Mail couldn't have gotten something wrong. It might have, but I just take so many grains of salt with what these people say. A miracle on its own that they made it to full term. From what I understand, she didn't even know she was pregnant with twins. So, I mean, what do I know, though? My choice to free birth saved me. Me. It allowed my boys to have 9 months of pure love and leave with pure love without intervention or disruption to the natural process of life and death. Always with these people. This was God's plan. This was the universe's plan. Me. It saved me. It didn't save your kids, though, did it? The most incredible moment of her life so far, the most incredible experience of her life so far, is for her to negligently go through her pregnancy and ultimately lose her babies when that chance of them surviving was there if she had just sought medical treatment and maybe been a little bit more prepared. I am staunchly pro-choice, but I am staunchly anti bringing children into the world to satisfy a narcissistic need for crunchy points and being irresponsible with that wanted child, and eventually resulting in the passing of that child or children. And it really makes me wonder what happened in that hour that that child was still alive and what could have prevented his death. Also, how did she know that she had twin-to-twin transferal syndrome? She just is guessing this. There's no, did the hospital tell her this afterwards, or is this just like a guess? Who knows with this woman? All I know is if you would like to donate to her vacation fund, you can. As with most free birthing stories, the truth of what she is presenting and the truth of what is being reported lies somewhere in the middle. I'm not here to say I know better about what happened than she does. All I know is I am at least a little bit more truthful when it comes to what actually happened here, which is she put the aesthetic of her birthing experience above the safety of her children.